Hello there. Welcome to another talk. And today's talk is podcast meditation. Is called Your Perception is Your Reflection. I've spoke about this before. And I'll continue to speak about it. And it's a saying of mine, your perception is your reflection. And that's because that's all it can ever be. Plus it rhymes, but because your perception of what's going on in your imagination externally, it's all come from that. It's all come from your imagination, your thoughts, your feelings. Right? So when you consciously stare into your perception of someone, of something, you're staring into yourself. You're staring into the shadow. But a lot of people won't do that. When you do that, that's when you're healing your traumas, you're healing your issues. That's when you are essentially spiritually ascending and spiritual awakening. When I first was doing this work, I didn't know anything about shadow work. But I was doing it without realising it. First had the big awakening, and then it was an inner pathway, an inner healing pathway. I remember I was in a cafe, and I was getting shown something. I was getting shown how everybody in the cafe was me. It was just one. Even if you don't believe it's all one, the philosophy, can connect everybody as one. But, back to what I was talking about, your perception is your reflection. And, it's not totally off topic what I just said, if we looked at everything as a reflection of ourselves, that would create oneness. You see? When you're heart-based, you seem to automatically be one. When you're head-based, ego-based, everything's divided and separate. But just something as simple as stating the obvious truth that your perception is your reflection, that is something that will stop you in your tracks when you're away to judge someone, when you're away to bring someone down. If, when you catch yourself doing that, just remind yourself that this is a reflection of you. This is a reflection. Why do you want to bring this person down? You're bringing that person down to bring yourself up. It's narcissism. It's insecurity. These are all issues within your own shadow. You see? See, we have to become almost like shadow work masters. To become ascended masters, you have to be shadow masters. And so it's all about the inner journey. Because the core of who you are is like, imagine deep within is like this bliss. It's called tantric. And that is the core essence. And what it is basically bliss, euphoria. It's like the drug MDMA. I think that's, an example of what I'm talking about. But you don't need the drug. Because the core essence of who you are is ultimately ecstasy itself. Maybe that's why they don't want people to feel that, you see. But when you start, like for me, I had an unexpected spiritual awakening at the age of 24, 10 years ago. Because I had enough of everything. And I sat down and one morning and I had it. And in that moment, I knew everything was going to change. It's like what some religious people say. I'm not religious, but religious followers, some of them say that when all God wants is for you to make the first step and then you'll be guided. And it was kind of like that. You know, and when you start doing this inner shadow work, you have to do the work to connect with God. And the God is this essence of who you are. You're not actually connecting with something that you're separate from. You're just connecting with what you truly are. You are God. You are all of infinity. You can only ever have one infinity. Right? But, you know, regarding your perception is your reflection. That's true. You can only perceive someone based on what's going on within. Your mind, your imagination, your perception. It's a reflection of you. So start to pay attention to that more. And you'll start to get an insight into where you need to heal. Especially when you're triggered. At the moment of the trigger, just feel what you feel. Right? Is it shaky? Is it nervy? Is it aggression? And all your traumas want to do is to reveal themselves to you. In that moment, you're the therapist, and your traumas are the ones receiving the therapy. You see? You got to feel it to heal it. Because like I say, this core essence, it can't be accessed until we've healed these issues. The only way to, you know, I've got nice music on just now, but energy music is good, but ultimately it's the inner work that gets to that deep core issues that can be past life related. You know, the philosophy of your perception is your reflection, just to know that. It's funny when people deny this. Well, of course your perception is your reflection. You know? Remember, everything is made up as well. It's not that anything is that way or this way. It's just concepts, ideologies, made up a bunch of stories. And the madness and the insanity comes when you start repeating and believing it. And that's when you've got something like a herd mentality. But some people repeat, and they actually believe that, you know, a lot of people, I think, actually believe that God wrote the Bible. No, it was human beings. You know, and again, you know, it's all about mold and perception. But there's an awakening happening on the planet. And a spiritual awakening. And so people are becoming more, when you're awakening, you become more aware that it's all a mirror. Before I didn't know what shadow work was, didn't know what was happening. Everything became me. But, you know, back to the perception thing. Yeah, you can only perceive the external world based on you. As soon as you're born, your perceptions are being molded and orchestrated. But ultimately, you can heal from all that by paying attention to what you perceive, to paying attention to how you think and feel, your reactions, your triggers. That's how you get rid of all the rubbish that's been programmed into you, and heal, and then you get to the true self, which is tantric awareness. It's a bliss, a euphoria, it's presence, it's peaceful, it's ecstasy. And it's a type of energy that is spontaneous. Beauty beyond comprehension, really. But it happens by realizing that, doing the inner work. And every time you get triggered, react. Don't beat yourself up about it. Just, try and feel what you feel. Instead of being involved in the debate, do the inner work. Feel what you feel in that moment. Because, like I say, you've got to feel it to heal it. And what I've noticed on my journey is that as I evolved, a lot more still. I mean, I used to be the opposite of what I am now. I was so anxious, depressed, suicidal, drugs, alcohol, very obsessive, fearful, all the things you don't want to be. And the awakening change, and so it's all about me just sharing it on. When I'm not doing my talks, I'm practicing doing my talks because I'm not a natural at this, I've got to force myself to do it. The reason I do is because of the awakening. I know that I had this unexpected spiritual awakening for a reason. And I'm just sharing my awakening on these talks just the way I've went through it. It became very apparent to me before I knew shadow work. I was already doing it, I didn't know that it was called that. Just pay attention to more your reactions. So you're going in instead of external. Another thing that people do is they beat themselves up about things. They are fearful. Like what Jim Morrison said, expose yourself to your deepest fear. That way it has no power. And that way you open your heart chakra. The heart chakra is closed when we're in fear. When we open ourselves up to our deepest fear, like what David Icke always says, do what you know to be right. Right? That's when you're coming from the heart chakra. You see? And so this love, infinite love, is the only truth. Everything else is an illusion, like David Icke says. This is the wave that's coming with this mass awakening. This infinite love is, imagine a motherly love, sexual love, compassion, empathy. And this is what's coming because of people doing the inner work. You see? Some people call it Christ consciousness. I would agree, yeah. And it's ultimately God. And this power, you access it once you start realizing that your perception is your reflection. So instead of looking outward, you're looking within. Like when they said to Jesus Christ, they said, "Where's this God?" He said, "It's within you." You see? So maybe people that follow religion or Christ need to do what he said. That's his pathway. Your perception is your reflection. And I'm just going to leave it there. For latest updates, talks, news, research and songs and much, much more, please do visit my website at www.lovelightfamily.com. Thank you very much for watching and listening. Thank you.